All right, Alex, big decision. Do you want the red pill or the blue pill?
Uh, Jeff, those are just sour Skittles.
Yeah, we're getting fucked up tonight. Welcome in to the Bro Force Squad podcast, where we are just a bunch of bros drinking beer and talking movies, and we are about to enter the Matrix. No, not the PlayStation 1 game. I'm your host, the Mayor, Jeff Hornacek, joined by the Mayor, Alex English. I just gave you that title. I don't think you've actually won an election, but we are here to watch the 1999 classic and do a movie commentary on The Matrix. We are currently watching this on HBO Max, although I believe it's also on Hulu. Our movies are paused at the 42 or 41 second mark with the Warner Brothers logo in green up on the screen. While you get your movies there, Alex, when was the last time you saw this movie? And as I mentioned off the top, are you a red pill or blue pill kind of guy?
I'll start with the second question. I would like to think that I'm a red pill kind of guy, like that I would have the guts to do that. But let's be honest. I'd probably be like, no, I actually enjoy my nice noodles, so I'm just gonna stick with the blue pill. I don't want to eat mulch. As for as for as for the first part, I watched it a few days ago. Actually, the first time I revisited it in probably like 7 years or so in preparation for the new one, and it gave me the idea to do a watch along with you. What about you?
So it's weird, and we'll get into this on the commentary, but I've actually seen the sequels, especially the second one, way more than the original. And I think it's because I'm like a huge advocate of the highway action set piece in the second Matrix. So I'll sometimes just go watch that. Also, it's one of the first DVDs I bought to kind of date myself back when we used to be analog. Remember the
Yeah,
DVDs, kids?
I don't know what those are. I remember cassette tapes and nothing in between until now.
Right. Okay.
So I have a huge gap. Yeah, I was in a coma actually. It was when I
Yeah,
won my
I've been
election.
meaning to talk to you about that. Lots changed. All
But
right.
yeah, is that a good chase scene in Matrix Reloaded? Is that something they perfected? Maybe we'll talk about it later on. We'll see.
Yeah, I've had to go to the doctor several times because all the blood rushes to my dick when that scene starts and doesn't leave. Okay, we are at the
Happens to the best of us.
42-second mark, pressing play on the Matrix in 3, 2, 1. Follow the White Rabbit.
All right, I got to say something right away. The green on the logo, so cool. I feel like movies didn't do stuff like that before, where they
Yeah,
customize the intro for the look and feel of the film.
this movie being at the turn of the century, I don't think it's hyperbolic to say that it really set a lot of trends in filmmaking, like
Oh yeah,
aesthetically, visually. I mean, the slow motion action shot, if it had been done before The Matrix, it certainly wasn't done well.
I don't remember it.
And then everyone ripped it off. Like if you didn't have a
Well, of
Matrix
course,
spoof in your movie, it was like, what are you doing?
right, of course.
This
I
is how you
never
log
noticed
into
that before.
AOL online.
It said February 19th, 1998. I don't think I ever caught that before. That's interesting.
No, I didn't either.
Because the action takes place in 99, presumably.
hmm This number is the amount of turnovers Alex Caruso had the night before. Just keeps perpetually going.
But he really goes hard on D, though.
Yeah,
So, you know.
coach's son, gym rat.
I have to say this stuff, I was surprised how well it aged. Like the going into the numbers, and you think it's going to look cheesy, but it doesn't. It kind of still looks unique.
I mean, okay, so let's think about. I was thinking about like action movies that I saw after this, and I know that this is probably, if you asked the Wachowskis, sort of as an aside, gun to your head, is The Matrix a sci-fi movie more than an action movie? They'd probably say sci-fi, right?
Probably. I would say
I just feel
probably,
like
yeah.
it's to say it's an action movie doesn't give it credit for some of the high concept stuff.
Do you think that they chose the green theme just because of Carrie-Anne Moss's eyes in that scene? They're like, actually, let's just go with that look for the whole movie. It blends
So it's
really
funny
well.
you say
Maybe those
that.
are contacts. I don't even know.
That segues us. By the way, I'm a huge Hugo Weaving fanboy, so I'm going to be V
Yes.
for Vendetta
This
is one of his.
role is incredible.
Yeah, and whatever his the voice he's doing really works for me. But my first Horns fun fact of the night, and yes, I've been outed. These are just the IMDb trivias, but you're not fucking reading them yourself. I'm doing you the favor of that. So
Only us disgusting people read those. Let's be honest.
right. So according to IMDb, all scenes that take place within the Matrix have a green tint, as if watching them through a computer monitor. Scenes in the real world have a blue tint.
Interesting.
So there you go.
I
And if
like
you've seen
that.
Space Jam: A New Legacy, this is the scene where Granny replaces Trinity.
Oh, here we go.
Of course, yeah.
I remember just seeing that and being like, "What just happened?"
These
And then
cops
she's
have
like
no fucking
running
chance.
up on the wall like she's Liu Kang.
God, she
I
wished.
love an action movie that just doesn't waste any time. They're like, "Here's just scene right away. Let's go."
Let me crane kick you before the credits have even rolled.
Right.
At the time, people probably saw these cell phones and were like, fuck, man, we'll never have technology like that.
Yeah, I think Nokia was putting out like the custom photos of it. You know, like how there would be like, "Oh, the iPhone 20," and it's like that's not what the iPhone's gonna look like. But like these, I think, were actual custom Nokia phones that they made for the movie, and then they ended up releasing. And yeah, they're not good. I mean,
with an
they
extra
literally click
4
when you
levels.
open it.
Yeah, with an extra 4 levels in Snake that the previous version didn't have.
What a great game.
We were such simpletons back then that game would entertain us. Imagine giving that to a child now. Like, what the fuck is this?
Spit in your eye. Yeah.
Yeah. Even I can't play online and talk shit to Chinese children. I'm not interested. I think that, and we'll get into this at length, but the physics of the Matrix is one of those things where I don't understand it. I don't even think the Wachowskis could explain it properly,
Right.
but I don't really fucking care because it's just really cool.
I have something on this later on in the movie where I have something I just theorized when I rewatched it a few days ago, and then I kind of applied it back to the rest of the scenes inside the Matrix, and I think it makes sense. So
okay, like part of the
bring
rules.
that up a little bit. Yeah.
Although kind of the whole point of the 3 movies is about like whatever we think the rules are, people seem to supersede them.
Right.
See, like visually, this stuff doesn't look that bad now, you know?
No, not at all. And I remember being like, why is she just destroyed all those cops. Like, why is she so scared and stressed out? But you don't really know yet that the agents are basically like, you see one, you're dead. So
right.
In many ways, she's already like a huge badass because she saw multiple and managed to get away.
No one dares step up to Hugo Weaving's Agent Smith.
No. What if like that phone just like didn't click just right, and then it's like, oh well, we lost Carrie-Anne Moss. Sorry.
Or the worst part,
she did her own stunt there.
She got out, but she got hepatitis from the payphone because we all know those are disgusting. So you escape, but at what cost?
At what cost? Also,
when did the first Men in Black come out? Because the agents definitely ripping off that estate. 97, yeah. So this.
Yeah, it was a few years before.
Men in Black rip-offs, I'm sure, is what people are saying.
Yep. Yeah, that's what people remember about The Matrix for sure. By the way, great movie in its own. What a time for sci-fi and action genre, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Men in Black, The Matrix, Independence Day. Incredible.
Mm-hmm. I was the Men in Black for one Halloween.
Nice.
This is Neo's computer crashing because he has LimeWire downloaded on it and downloaded a Nickelback song. Remember when photos took so long to download, like they would just slowly like load throughout your screen like vertically.
Right.
Like
Unbelievable.
what's this going to be a picture of?
This part has always been a little bit not confusing to me, but like it's it's almost like he's basically being hacked to basically set the plan in motion. And so like they've
Mhm.
been watching him and then they hack him to basically say do X. And he's just like, what? Because that's the part that I don't think, I mean, they explain, but they don't really go out of their way to explain, is that I'm assuming all those guys on the Nebuchadnezzar that we're going to meet, they were all hackers. They all have hacker names. That's the only way they got there, is because they figured out something about the computer rules didn't make any sense.
And I'm
You know?
not like nitpick plot hole guy. Like
No,
I'm not gonna
God, not in this, not in
fucking
movies like this. No.
fucking hate that guy. But um, did like why couldn't Trinity have just gone to his apartment? Why'd she have to have him go out to the nightclub? Is it because they had a happy hour going on? If that's okay, then that's the case. So we have
Well, so
goatee '90s Tom Hiddleston.
maybe how about like her showing a little bit of her skill to like impress him, you know? She's like playing a
Probably, yeah.
rope a dope and he's like, "Oh, what's this about the white rabbit?" Also, I love how he hands him like a literal like mini CD, and at the time we were like, "Whoa, they make those?" Like it's just a
Like there's
CD that's
14
small.
songs on this, all right? Most of them aren't released yet. Don't fuck this up.
Also, how long did it take her to put all those rings on her neck? And I mean, it's a look. I'll give her that, but
Quite a while. She's auditioning for the Dora Milaje to protect Black Panther after this.
nice.
How many people in this group have a good relationship with their parents? This just looks like a bunch of fuck you mom
I'm gonna
people.
set the over under at 0.5, and
I'll
just
take
because
the
like there's always a chance, you know, you gotta
yeah,
have at least maybe there's a chance.
yeah, but I'd say most of these people were emancipated from their parents at 15, probably.
Her name is Du jour. Okay.
That sounds good. I'll have
Mm.
that. The leather budget on the Matrix,
Oh man,
out of control.
just the Morpheus red one with like the snake print on. It's insane.
Yeah, that's an iconic look.
And he's got like the green. It's like reddish purple with the green uh shirt underneath. It's great.
Yeah. So this is what the back of a TGI Fridays looks like.
Right,
If you're,
right.
if you're ever asked to be seated in the back room, this is what it is. You saw, I don't know if you saw in the background, guy just ordered potato skins. They came out.
This is where nobody could ever like I can never watch a movie again with the sound mixing in a club after seeing The Social Network. We were talking about Fincher right before we got on, but like where they're sitting there having a conversation and you're like, I can't hear what's happening, and that's exactly what every club is like. So like you
So
watch
true.
club scenes in any other movies and it's like they like lowered the back volume so you could hear the conversation. This isn't realistic. I'm out.
Yeah, she's like 8 feet away. There's no way a club
they,
like
they
this is
would
going
not they would
here.
be yelling at each other. That's a He's a hacker who just asked another hacker how a hacker hacked into his computer. It's interesting.
It's
I
a
think he would know.
it's a professional courtesy. You don't talk about that. Also, when hackers see each other out and they're like, "Oh, you're not a 300-pound balded man," that's a bit odd because they just assume. That's why I was like, I thought you were a dude.
These are the classic like sexy hackers. It's like this and Mr. Robot did a lot for the image of hackers. You know, I
For
don't know if
sure.
you've seen that show, but like they're all just like skinny and attractive.
So I was actually gonna watch that show, obviously where Remy Malik, had a kind of his big
Right.
break, and
It
someone fucking spoiled the twist for me.
it's just season one. It doesn't even matter the rest of the show. Just
Okay.
you could just like embrace it, and they not to go on too big of a tangent, but that show borrows a lot from this, like a lot, but in a good way, like an homage way.
Mm.
But they did the thing later on. It's like season 4 or 5 where they have like a whole 60-minute episode in one take, like Birdman, that type of
Oh,
thing.
that's cool.
But it
Yeah.
works really well for that show because it's in the middle of like a heist of sorts. So it's just like it's 60 minutes, but it feels like it's 15. You know, your heart's just pounding the whole time. Very, very well done. This could be the building in like Office Space and the company name. It might as well just like use the same set.
I mean, Neo set his alarm for 9:18, so that's kind of on him. Also, even more embarrassing, it's Hawaiian Shirt Friday, and look how he's dressed. That's what really pissed his boss off. He's like, we had it on a memo in the break room. I know you've been in the break room. I've seen your numbers. Our former boss, Alex, would have a putting green in here and be wearing fucking khaki shorts.
Oh, for sure. I love how this guy's like telling him, like, I'm basically going to fire you if you are late one more time. And like the HR ladies in the corner, well, actually, how many conversations have you previously had?
Yeah, we need documentation of those.
There needs to be like a Bible's worth of documentation to fire somebody for being tardy 100 times.
His boss looks like gluten-free Michael Sheen. Like, if you can't afford a Michael Sheen, that's the guy you call second.
I wonder what that guy's career has been after this, because he was in that. That's it. That's the scene. Like, what's he doing? Did he get work after this?
Yeah, his demo reel is just that. Like, where's the rest of it?
I mean, look at that thing. I mean, that literally hurt my hand just seeing him. It clicks when you open it. Like, what's
Dude, honestly, fuck my iPhone. I want this phone now. I'll give up all of my smartphone technology for the click answering.
It's the size of a walkie-talkie. This scene is so awesome. I just love how he's like, here's what I want you to do. It's very video game-like. You know, it's
Can I just say,
go
like,
here, do that.
I do kind of hate, though, how he doesn't get in the scaffold. He's like arrested out of the building.
Yeah, he just bitches out right at the end.
I know, like, we go through all the cool suspense of like sneaking around the office, and then you end up. I mean, not that I would do it myself.
No chance.
What do you think these guys told the receptionist for
freaking Karen over there? Like, yeah, he's right there. It's like, who are you? Why are you?
Oh, you want to arrest him? Yeah, I'll show you where he is.
Like, what? Also, his computer screen was off. Like, he wasn't even working. Of course, he's in trouble with the boss. He's just like sitting there with the monitor off.
Keeps his desk.
Also, no mouse pad. Like, what is he, a serial killer? No mouse pad?
Mouse pad in 1999 is a cardinal sin. Like, what the fuck? At least get the free one from like your local bank. Remember when you had to clean that out because like dust would get in it? Like, my mouse isn't tracking well enough. I know, because when I play Oregon Trail, I'm having issues hunting.
Here we go.
Cubicles always just remind me of the scene in Office Space where Peter has like all the Cheetos sprawling across his desk while he's playing Tetris. It's like, I'm gonna have to ask you to come back later. I'm in the middle of something.
God, that office they're not big for like decor on this, you know, on the walls, or it's just like the most basic.
This is a place where they expect you to die in your desk.
How do you know this? I love that.
Is confused Keanu the best Keanu?
Yeah, I want to hate his line delivery and how he does it in that Keanu way, but I can't. It just works. It's him. That's why he's like a huge star. Like, it's just fine. I want you to whisper excitedly.
Yeah, if you had a take like this and then a take where he actually like acted really well, I'd be like, give me the first one actually. What are these photos on the wall? One is just like the side of a building. Is this gonna have a wife and kids, or like a vacation he went on that he wants to remember?
It's like when they built the skyscraper, they were like, oh, we should take pictures of at funky angles and put it in all the execs' offices.
Yeah, but who will want those on their walls? Johnson will, trust me. Some reason that's.
By the way, do we know? So I'm pretty good at like picking out like, oh, this is X city or Y city, but they do a really good job of making it very like unrecognizable. Like, they never film any like iconic buildings. Like, it's just city X, you know? Like, I don't know where they actually filmed these scenes. I'm assuming LA, but I don't know that for a fact.
So getting into like one of the other reasons why we're doing this, Matrix Resurrections obviously coming out. As this drops, it'll already be released. But There's a lot of speculation as to if that takes place in the real world
Right.
adjacent. There's some rumors that there's like a meta aspect to where like the Matrix movies exist in the new movie. So do you think it will be
Mm.
revealed where, like, if in the real world where Neo actually resides? Because presumably from the trailer, he's like back in the
Yeah.
real.
Ah, I don't know. I don't know if that really matters to the plot of this franchise. I think it's more just interesting that they're able to film in such a way to sort of keep everything. It's just a city. It's a city in the 21st, at the turn
Yeah,
of the century, basically.
and probably not even in like our reality, if we're being
Real
honest.
quick, incredible hand acting here by Hugo Weaving. Just the way the way he moves his like hands and fingers. It's like menacing without him saying or doing anything.
This is why I could never be a director, because that's the shit I would like not think to tell someone to
Right.
do.
He's like, I want you to do it very like the way he opens that file is how he talks. Everything is
And he
very
kind of
like
like brushes away some comment Neo makes with his hand gestures.
right.
I don't know, like his cadence, the way he talks,
It's
it was a swing for the fences and it worked for me.
oh yeah, absolutely.
You have
And
a social security number, Mr. Anderson.
yeah, I don't know what it is, but it works, and it's that much more effective when he kind of loses it later on in the movie.
Yes. Yeah,
And
because
that it's like, oh,
it's so over the top composed, but
hmm
never at once are you like, dude, this is not how a real person would act.
right,
Because he's not a real person, I guess.
right.
Do you have
Wait,
one of those
what?
tie clips? I've always wanted one of those.
Uh, Maybe somewhere in a drawer. I don't know. I don't think I go out of my way to wear one though.
I was gonna say, imagine the back part of your tie being so out of control that you also had to flip it.
Orpheus. The way he like emphasizes the S.
Hmm.
Orpheus. By the way, do you think the creators of Mad Men just looked at the other dudes and were like, "Yep, that guy. Just he looks good in a
Yeah, give
suit.
me
Just
12 of them. 12 of them.
really square shoulders and square jaw.
Yeah, but with better hairlines, and they're all chain smoking. And break.
Clean."
Also, your
That's
fantasy
every
football
word.
team last year lost. How do you know that? We know everything.
That would be a great like SNL bit, right? When this movie came out, it's just not that Hugo Weaving would ever do SNL, but just like
It's beneath him.
like I can't think of anything more unlikely than that. Somebody's gonna fact check this and be like, actually, he did it. He hosted
11
September
times.
1990.
Neo's playing hardball until he goes, "We have your internet search history." He's like, "Well, I'll tell you whatever the fuck you want to know." So, where do I sign the affidavit?
I would have made fun of them wearing sunglasses indoors in like a pretty poorly lit room. It looks like.
Yeah. Maybe they have like vision issues. I don't know. Like, who was that NFL coach? Was it Sperano that like I used to always make fun of for wearing sunglasses at night? And then someone told me like
It
actually,
was, yeah, yeah. And then you felt
like,
bad for like a second, but then you thought it
for
was
like a
funny.
second, but I was like, dude, I actually had some really good jokes about him, so I'm gonna stick with those. This iconic scene as
Oh
well.
yeah. And the way he's
Uh,
like smirking, it's like, what good is a phone call if you can't speak?
you can't
Which,
speak.
good point.
And not
Oh,
to get
and by
ahead 15 seconds,
yeah.
but I have like a serious. There's a scene in Too Fast, Too Furious, very similar to where they try to make a rat burrow into someone's stomach.
Mm.
This is just like a huge, like just skeeves me out big time. Anything like burrowing into my skin through
Ooh,
an
still,
orifice or my belly button.
still good special effects, by the way. Like
Hmm.
really, really good. Um, for 1999, like if I saw a movie today and it looked like that, I'd be like, yeah, okay, that looks pretty legit.
Yeah, I've seen worse special effects in the last 2 years for sure.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, I imagine they had quite a budget for this. It might have broken records actually
Yeah.
for special effects at the time. So this is the thing that they play on a lot. It's a recurring theme where like at any point, if you're in the Matrix, the agents can just like reset you back in bed to make you
Yeah.
think you had a dream. So he's just like, oh, it's just a dream. It's fine. That was a fucked up dream, but it was a dream.
Yeah, I always dream that I'm getting interrogated, my mouth won't open, and then a tarantula that looks like a sperm at first burrows into my belly button.
Yeah, it's totally normal. He woke up being not very concerned about it.
$63 million budget in 1999 for this movie, which I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, this is
That's
not
$1 billion in today money, I think. That's
right.
how inflation's going.
But this is not a pre-existing IP at the time, right? Like this was.
Well, unless you're part of the, I mean, they didn't officially have to pay anybody, but there is supposedly a Korean comic book or TV show or something that's basically, a lot of people are like, they just ripped that off. I haven't done the legwork to know if they did or didn't. Clearly, if they borrowed ideas, they made it, a worldwide phenomenon, which that's what art is just borrowing, right? So.
Yeah, what was that Korean
Improving.
comic book doing? Just sitting at home.
Yeah.
Not
what are you
making
doing?
$63 million movies.
The Wachowskis happened to be reading it, and they're like, this would be sweet to add $63 million to.
This is where Neo's like, all right, look, I don't know the dynamics. Are we going to have a threesome? Are you guys a couple? Is the driver one of the, like, who's fucking who? Are we at the highway? Yeah, that's fine. You have a gun, and I'm me.
He's like,
The door to this car also opened like the reverse way you would expect.
Yeah. Right. He's like, I'll take the highway, but then the hot lady's like, no, well, hold on now. Like,
Well, you are
okay, I
wearing
like
leather,
your leather suit.
and you touched my leg once, so I'm willing to die.
I don't
Did
know,
she
Carrie
really
on
need the gun?
like, yeah, probably not. Carrie Ann Moss, and like, not in things, but not in as many things as I would have expected after this movie. Like, I feel like it's one of those situations where she's like, just what she chose. She's like, I'll do Mars, and I'll do like some random chick flick where I play the mom, and
Memento, where I'll give you a fear boner. Right here, she's like, all right, take a bong rip of this real quick.
Memento was before this, right?
Yeah, I think so. Let me check.
Because she's obviously in that with Joe Pantoliano, who's obviously going to show up in this movie too.
No, Memento was 2000, so like right after.
Oh,
this.
Wow, okay.
If you would have put a gun to my head, I would have told you Memento came out before The Matrix.
Totally.
We've all been here, right, Alex? You're in the backseat of a car with two lesbians,
Yeah.
and someone puts a water bong on your belly button and rips out the scorpion.
Also, how does that work? Does his belly button close back up, or is he just gushing blood now? What is the
And how much of this does insurance cover?
Well, presumably this is turn of the century United States Matrix, so probably not a lot. They tell you it's like 80%, but then you actually have to pay, and it ends up being like 20%.
Yeah, I don't think.
By the way, I love
anywhere near as deductible.
I love the checkerboard tile. Like that's also, it's very like Alice in Wonderland, which clearly is also a.
I do love it. I'm just like a sucker for like the classic horror aesthetic of like the upwards shot looking at the people like walking up the spiral stairs.
Right. It's very Lynch.
Iconic.
Oh yeah.
How fucking cool were the sunglasses without the part that goes over your ears?
I thought that they were like magic. I didn't know that it was they have to be real, I assume, but I don't really know that for a fact.
He's like, yes, they fall off all the time, but also I get so laid because of these. If you own this chair in your house, then I bow at your feet. Imagine reading in that.
It looks great, but like, do you really think it's comfortable? It's like the kind of chair you offer someone tea in. You're like, here, let me give you a cup of tea. They like sit in that kind of chair because you're
like, I don't drink tea. Well, you're straight in that fucking chair, so yes, you do.
You gotta have it. That leather trench coat, was that half of the $63 million budget?
Yeah, I mean, how many cows had to die to make that worthy cause? So Lawrence Fishburne, I mean, maybe I was like I didn't see things like Event Horizon and like he's in the first Nightmare on Elm Street. It looks like this was like my first real foray into
This
Lawrence
was his. I agree. This was his breakthrough into like. There's a crazy story out there about how way early on in his career, Tarantino wanted him in a bunch of stuff, and his agent was like, "No, you don't want to work with that guy." So then that's how Samuel Jackson became like Tarantino's boy, because he basically
Wow.
just replaced him with Samuel. And it's like whoever his agents were at the time. I mean, he eventually got Matrix. He did fine, but it's like, ooh, that's a weird like alternate history. What would have been type of like imagine him as Jules in
Hmm.
Pulp or any of the other roles. It's kind of crazy.
But then, and I'm sure that like the roles started to be written too for Samuel Jackson, but like I can't imagine him. I don't know the name of the character, but like I can't imagine him as Samuel Jackson's character in like Django.
Right, right. Does he have
But
that
at that
range? I
point,
don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. But at that point, you're probably writing for Sam Jackson.
True. Another thing that's iconic and comes up over is the way the reflection in the sunglasses. Like they use that a lot, where you see the
Yeah.
person and their reaction in the reflection of the sunglasses the person is speaking. So it's a flex really of cinematography. They're like, oh yeah, or, first of all, these are very clean. We wipe these a lot. They had a person that was just their job on set, just
Two
wiping
people,
sunglasses.
one for each lens. I've always admired like the way that cinematographers can do scenes like where a character's either in like a bathroom with a mirror or things like that, and the reflection of the camera, or even like the boom mic guy are not in it.
Right.
Although they can
Yeah.
probably
Right.
digitally move a lot of it.
Right.
He's like, "This is a NyQuil.
So
Take
here's
it,
the
but
thing,
don't
right?
fall asleep."
I, I never thought about this until I rewatched it a few days ago, but like clearly like the red pill is the truth because it's the color of blood, right? It's just the natural, right?
Hmm.
Otherwise, what's the point of the colors? You would just say
Oh, is he
black
not
or
asking Democrat or Republican right here? And he has to.
this is a key line right here. Spock is not a fan of Spock, who's a character we haven't. That his name? No, it's Cipher. I don't know why I just said Spock.
Cipher, yeah, Pantaleon.
Yeah, he's not a big fan
Yeah.
of that line. All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more. Because really, he's offering him kind of a piece of shit life. To be completely fair, APOC. That's
Yeah, I
it.
think Morpheus. Look, he's wow, skinny Joe Pantaleon. Um,
Yeah, he got in shape for this.
Morpheus kind of has the MO modus operandi that the Jedi have, where like they'll give you like half truths or like a very slanted version of the
Listen,
truth.
you need to just be with it, or I'm not gonna give you everything before you join.
Joe Pantaleon isn't in enough movies. I understand he's like a glorified character actor, but like let's get him in more stuff. He's
Yeah,
probably
like
too
I
loud for a lot of directors.
I haven't seen him in a long time. He had a nice little one season arc on The Sopranos too. He's good.
Bad Boys for Life was the last thing I
All
saw
right,
him in.
so I'm not a nitpick, but again, I have to say this. It bothers me how in the previous scene they do a Alice in Wonderland reference, and then literally the very next scene they do a Wizard of Oz reference. That's laying it on a little thick. It's like, okay, all right, we get it. They're going to a magical place. Maybe let's
In,
not.
insert pop culture reference. Okay, well that wasn't even one. You just said that. You didn't even have one.
Yeah. Oh, here we go.
Also,
It's the first like this scene. I don't really understand what exactly is happening, other than I assume it's in a computer program sort of way. It's like he's starting to sort of glitch out.
yeah, like the fabric of whatever this world is not being held together
Right.
very well.
Right. Yeah, because they explained what that stuff is that they're linking him to is doing, but I we were talking about more important things. It's again the show. This movie does a lot of exposition, and it's always just perfectly sensical enough. It's just like a sentence, and you're like, oh yeah, sure, I buy it.
Well, I think one of the strengths of the Matrix is that like you see some movies that like the entire narrative really hinges on like some of the high concept stuff. If you
Right.
like the stuff that you might not understand in the Matrix won't like make the film incoherent
Right.
to you.
Correct.
You'll
Because
probably get more out of it.
right when you're about to like be like, oh, okay, they throw a like sick action scene at you, and then you're like, oh yeah, this is just cool.
Right. I wonder, do you know if there's like a novelization of this at all?
I'm sure I mean, this is $1 billion franchise. I'm sure it's out there. Is
Like
it
they're
good?
not in
I
it
don't
for the
know.
money.
Oh, they write those just for the fans? This is so crazy. It's very like alien,
Hmm.
sort of feel and aesthetic, minus, the cables and the lack of eyebrows is so gnarly, Like it just
This is This is on a Sunday morning when you're 33 years old and did shots the night before. This is how you wake up. I
also, would
forgot
you
he
be
was
like just
bald.
yeah, would you just be like trying to unplug that from the back of your head if you just woke up and you're like what happens if I do
Yeah,
that?
I would like to think that my initial thought would be like, okay, I actually don't know what's happening, so maybe don't unplug this stuff real fast, but I probably would.
Yeah, I mean, if you wake up in this situation, you're already like, huh, maybe I should just jump down, just call it a day. Good life.
Yeah, I can already tell whatever is explained to me next, I'm not going to fucking understand. So maybe we just leap from this thing.
This is the part that I enjoy is that they didn't just hack him in a way to make him wake up. They also hacked this thing because it comes and it like that's kind of what I understand, right? It finds him and then it like frees him in a way. You think it's gonna hurt him, but it doesn't hurt him. That's my understanding of the
Right.
scene, anyway.
As he should think it's going to hurt him. It's a robot with its like vice grip around his neck.
Great job there by him to like cross his eyes. He looks very like unconscious for a split second. It's really good acting there. And
Second
down the chute he
horns.
goes. I would ride that
Second
slide. That looks
horns.
fun.
Fun fact. To prepare
Looks
for
like
the scene where Neo wakes up in a pod, Keanu Reeves lost 15 pounds and shaved his whole body to give Neo an emaciated look.
so
That's
he actually
Christian.
shaved his eyebrows. That's intense.
Which, like, you could show up on set and they'd be like, well, you don't need to do that. We can, like, cover that up with prosthetics, but okay. You and I have been
Yeah.
walking around like this for 2 weeks.
By the
God, can you
way,
imagine if the claw machines we played had a claw this efficient?
the claw. That's the claw from Toy Story. Actually, it's if you go to
Yeah, that's
IMDb and search the claw,
this
it's
is
its
at a
other
pizza
credit.
planet. Yeah, this was filmed at a pizza planet in San Bernardino, California, actually.
I can't help but take myself back to when I originally. So I would have been 11, and I just remembered it's just blowing my mind. Every scene turn, everything was just like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. This is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
I think that's what's so fun about The Matrix is like, this is kind of what I love about Jordan Peele now. Like, for movies, look, it's not going to work for everybody, but just have the balls to fucking take a swing, man. Do something no one
Yeah,
else tried.
right. Like like a little acupuncture. Have you ever done that?
Just little, only 99 needles in him. I actually have not. Have you?
I have not. I don't feel like that's something that people in like our age group do. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah. I'm not saying I'm like totally against ever trying it, but currently I am. Morpheus with the Night looks like your NBA 2K character when you're like in training, how he has like the jersey over his long sleeve shirt. Like, what does this look?
So they just made the comment about like, they're basically giving him acupuncture so that they could basically awake his muscles.
Mm-hmm.
But like 2 scenes ago, he like fell in some water and was like kicking himself up. So, again, I'm just.
He seemed fine
Am
to
I
me.
turning into nitpick guy here? Should I just get another beer? Probably.
Yeah, probably.
That's a
I do
good
kind of
sweater
love the
rip right there.
Zion look. Yeah, the
Oh
Zion
yeah,
look is like Bill Belichick adjacent, where it's like, yeah, none of these sweaters really fit us, but how does no one's sweater fit? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's got to be one guy that's the size of the sweater. No one sweater fits. And I think it's in the second or third one they have that rave where they just rave in sweaters. Like, no one
they
has like
just yeah,
going out attire.
pretty gnarly here. He's like, what's that thing?
The plug in the back. Yeah, that's how you sync up your Zune.
Oh god.
It
Oh
is. I think it's an interesting like aesthetic where it's sort of like the Matrix is so technologically advanced, and then the people of Zion are like
right.
their attire is what's the word I'm looking for? It's like sort of disheveled and like they're like the Rebel Alliance where it's like ragtag and they're like
Right,
scrappy.
right. They're like living in a city underground.
Now, because I've
But
seen
they
the
also
second
have the
one more.
technology to build like incredible ships and weaponry and
Oh yeah,
physically hack themselves into a computer program. You would think they would like be able to, I don't know, knit clothes.
I think it's 6G in here is the cell phone service. How much do they mention Zion in this movie? Because I know the first time we see it is the second one, right?
It's yes, but it's actually a big like plot point because that's why they want Morpheus so they can get the codes to Zion because it's the
Right.
last human city. So
But
it
we don't
comes
actually
up here.
go.
They never show it. No.
Yeah, okay, yeah, we don't go there in this one. Do we see? Because it's been a while since I when I was rewatching this, I could only get to like the second act. Do we see the machines at the end that they fight in the third one?
We see this. We see the Sentinel. We don't see anything other than the Sentinels, which we see in the second one, but we don't. Yeah, not the ones in the third. Try to relax. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Everybody's sweaty and it smells terrible here.
When in the history of life has telling someone to relax made them relax? Try saying that to your wife. Hey, just calm down.
This is so cool. I still geek out over this.
I love, dude, whoever did the costumes in this movie,
The green tie is perfect.
fucking genius.
That
I
little
want to
smirk he has,
see.
it's so perfect. He's like, this is kind of cool, huh? He's like just showing it without, actually saying it.
You want to hear something I'm kind of embarrassed of? So I'm a big fan of the John Wick movies,
Yeah.
and in the third one, Lawrence Fishburne shows up. But for some reason, it took me like the day after I saw the movie to make the connection. Like, holy shit, that was Morpheus and Neo again on screen together.
That's funny. I mean, yeah, I feel like just because he's not in movies as much, so you don't see him on screen as much, so you probably didn't even like make the connection.
Yeah.
His glasses are extra shiny in this scene. I mean, like I've never seen sunglasses that shiny. By the way, great
This
aesthetic
is like
choice with the TV here, like the 1950s. It just
I'm
kind of
getting Get
works with
Out
the rest of
vibes from
it.
this as well, right?
What vibes get out? Yeah, for sure.
Get Out, like the scene at the very end.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
For Get Out, there's a TV in it. Sorry.
Well, obviously the video game BioShock. I don't know if you ever played it or you're familiar with it. Like very
I've heard of
similar
it. Yeah, I haven't
aesthetic
played
too.
it.
Oh, that doesn't look good. Looks like maybe some sunshine would be needed there. They mentioned at some point that the sky was scorched. Like I don't even understand how you like what how would you go about doing that? Like just release a bunch
Scorch
of
the
pollution
Sky.
in the sky until the sun can't break the ozone layer? I don't.
You know,
Sounds cool.
mankind would find a way. We would fuck it up somehow.
If it's destructive, we could figure it out.
If it's destructive with like minimal benefit to us, we'll still find a way to do it. The background here kind of looks like the aggro crag from Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Oh, There you go.
It is kind of interesting. So I think the reason, and this is going to make me sound like a fucking Cro-Magnon, but the reason I think the second Matrix I like so much, I don't like it more than this one because I think I appreciate what this one did, but it probably has the
Right.
least exposition of the first three.
Yeah, because I feel like it's a lot of here's just a rock and roll plot with some awesome action sequences, and we're just going, and it never has time to rest, or other than the probably like the Oracle scene, and that's I haven't seen that one seen that one in a while, but
Yeah, I think like
definitely
Aiden
way
Smith
less than
talks
this.
a little bit before the scene where like 100 of him fight Neo.
Right. Some more Alien vibes right here with the eggs,
Definitely. These aliens doing a lot of fucking.
I love I love just the different kinds of robots, like why they made the decisions that they made in the design phase. This kind of gnarly. It's like the dead, they just kind of feed them to the babies. Like, okay.
Yeah, this is like really heavy shit. Like you're watching it.
Yeah.
This is the scene where like the old couple in the theater walks out.
By the way,
And
really good like computer animated baby there. That was
yeah.
impressive.
Well, they had a real baby. Apparently he was a huge diva on set, so they had to go CG. He was late to call. He was just an asshole to the craft services.
I wonder if that's an Energizer or Duracell. Asks nobody ever. That wasn't even. It's like, what's the iconic battery? Clearly orange and black. It's,
Keanu actually crushing it here.
oh yeah.
And again, like
He freaks
now
out.
that you
He's
mentioned,
having
I
like
can't.
a panic attack.
But he's also like in the middle of one of those old iPod commercials because the all white background. Justin Long shows up in a second.
Yeah, this is some really good. Like you feel that he's like freaking out, and then basically just passes
Yeah, I
out.
would freak out too. I mean, all the shit he's hearing. He's like, "This is
Oh
what?"
yeah, this is a lot of info. You think they couldn't have just downloaded that to his brain? You think it would have like melted his brain to learn it in that way? Like he had to have Morpheus speak it to him.
Joe Pantoliano is like, "Well, I like to do it this way because they usually throw up and it's funny."
He's gonna
And
pop.
the intern has to clean it up, so it's no skin off my back.
I feel like Joe Pants like is the kind of guy who just like does a different line every time they shoot the scene, and then they have to like choose the scene based on his line, not based on the other actors and
Yeah,
how they did. It's like he said
I
he's
can
gonna
already see
pop. That works a lot better than the other one.
the BuzzFeed article now. Editors hate him. Find out which actor makes their life a living hell. It's like I'm
And
not
it's a
clicking that.
picture of Joe Pantoliano. It's like,
Yeah,
well,
okay. So Joe Pantoliano. All right,
okay.
fine. Why'd
Is it
you just
Pantaleone
lost
or
my click?
Pantaleone? I actually don't know. There was a man born inside.
Morpheus is like, hey, I know you threw up when we gave you the backstory here. Now that you're awake, I'm going to give you the rest of it.
Yeah, just give you some more.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Can I get a glass of water first?
So this is the part of the movie that is the biggest like exposition stretch to me. Like it's basically like
Yeah.
the Jesus origin story, and they're like, here's what happened, and it is said that he will return again. But they don't really say anything. Like it's just it is what it is. And I guess if the movie in this, when they wrote the script, they didn't want to go into that too much because they're like, we got to show some people kicking ass here in a second.
I think
They
that is
definitely go into it a lot deeper in the third movie for sure. The third movie is like a lot of that.
the Wachowskis probably had like, the high concept stuff written down and they were like, I think we can chunk this up and feed it to the audience if we break it up with leather and with action
Right.
set pieces.
Right. Is it I still we're gonna say Wachowskis or Wachowskis like the entire time, and I'm not sure which one it is.
I'll probably
For a
pronounce it a
fact?
different way each time I'll say it.
Each time. There you go.
I've heard it pronounced, I honestly think like 50% of the time, each of the two ways.
That makes sense. Yeah, he's not having a good time right now. He's like, why am I here?
Why am I in the boiler room? I was like, hey, I'm done doing my bicep curls, and no, they don't have any shirts that fit.
Yeah, that guy's got like the smallest torso of all time and just huge arms. I do like this. I think this is really cool how there's two people on the ship who are just like born in the world, you know? Like that's a really
Yeah.
cool way to introduce the idea of Zion. It clicks right away. It doesn't it's not confusing, like it just makes sense and you're like, "Oh, cool." And to bring in a funny South Park joke, the episode with the immigrants from the future, they're just like, the color of all the races mixed togetger. Like, because that's what would happen
This is
in
the Time
300
Child
years.
one.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah, no, it really
where they
is.
all come back looking for jobs. 'Cause there's no jobs.
Oh yeah.
It
It gets less coherent every time the guy yells it. What is this guy in? I have to.
Yeah, right?
I'm on it.
I love this. I love this. He's like, yeah, we're supposed to start with a boring. It's like when you play a video game and you're like, I'm just gonna skip all the training. Then of course, like you get to like level 10 and you're like, I should probably done the training because
Like,
I don't know.
fuck. Can I see the controls just one more time? Like, oh, you mean the thing you ignored? I didn't ignore it.
By the way, I don't know if you noticed that computer screen. Movies in the 90s had the same computer screen for every movie. Like you can watch The Matrix, you can watch like Enemy of the State.
Oh, really?
I mentioned earlier like uh Independence Day. It wasn't the same stuff on the screen, but the way the screen looked was always exact. Like they just had one special effects studio in Hollywood who did it for every movie. And it
It's
was
like the
always like
same stock
loading
footage
bar,
they all share.
loading. Right.
Makes sense. It's like the Wilhelm scream of computer
Right.
screens.
Yeah.
Everyone gets to use it.
He's a machine. I like that. It's like, oh, okay. Maybe there is something to this guy. I love that line. That's so good. Show me. That's awesome. This scene right here is incredible. And just the
Yeah.
coordination of the fighting is so good. I would love to know how much of it they did themselves and how much they used doubles for, but it's phenomenal.
Well, this is
I
one
mean,
I'm
it's
curious.
iconic.
In the trailer, it looks like there's another version of this, and again, Yahya Abdul-Mateen, who's playing quote unquote young Morpheus. There's a lot of rumors about is he like actually an actor playing Morpheus or what the
It
deal is.
will
But
be interesting. Yeah.
it looks like this scene happens again in the Matrix Resurrections.
It's so good. The music, like how you could tell that the Wachowskis like clearly have watched thousands of hours of kung fu movies and are just like, this is our just complete love for the genre, and we're just gonna give it this awesome set piece right in the middle of our movie.
And again, when we go handheld camera there, like you can't fake that. Like Keanu has to actually be fighting
Right.
Morpheus. God, dude, this fucking like guitar riff that
It's
goes with it.
so good. Like it's electronic music, but it's also like grounded with like real instruments and it's like they use a lot of Prodigy in this. Yeah.
I mean, it's so 1999, and I would not have it any
Oh,
other way.
no, yeah, it's of an era for sure. By the way, I wonder what would happen if they just like broke through the glass there. Are they in the white void? Like what happens to the program, you know?
I think
Is
they're
there
in the
another
middle of
room?
like there's a Chinese lantern festival outside. I'm looking up. Okay, so Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
That was 99 too, I believe.
Yeah, it looks like it
I
was the
think they went
same.
against each other. And well, actually, I don't know if this
2000
movie
is
was
next,
nominated. Okay.
but
Yeah, but
so
it would have
because
been early 2000. I think they both were in the Oscars that happened in like February of 2000. I want to say I could be wrong.
so I
This
was
is
just
such a weak
wondering
move right here.
if
He's like, let me just jump over you and then completely expose myself to like a kick in the chest. It's good move there, buddy.
when your teacher asks, How did I beat you? Like, if I fucking knew, I wouldn't have let you. Look, Morpheus, I just want to say, as far as tunics go, you don't have to wear the black one. I don't have to wear the white one. It's 1999.
I love that line. You think that's air you're breathing now? Such a
Yeah.
good delivery and the smirk again. Very very Yoda-like, actually. I'm sure, I'm
Where it's
sure
like, I'm
that
going to
took
teach you,
some
but
inspiration.
first I'm going to confuse the fuck out of you. So really, you're going to teach you.
Yeah. Oh god, just the punching sounds, like it's so good. Okay, buddy. They're all like watching him kung fu, and he's like, "Look at his brain."
Like, dude, we're watching the game. That's like a
Is,
kung fu classic. The like, come
is
get
this where he
some
does
bitch.
right? Is this where he does at one point, like he does a little smirk? I think Neo does, and it's so good. You're like, "Uh oh, he's figuring it out."
Oh, is that what that line's from? Stop trying to hit me and hit me.
Yeah, I think that's where I heard it the first time. Hey,
Cherney's like, I'm a lot aroused. That's maybe my favorite line in the whole franchise. I can only show
really
you the
good.
door, you have to walk through it.
Right. Oh man, I remember this. Um, it actually plays really well for laughs in a movie that doesn't have a lot of that. To be frank, like
Yeah.
it's a lot. It's a lot of exposition. It's a lot of action sequences, but like I mean, the fact that he just does that is great, and now it's like become a meme in itself. Whoa, he like just does it in movies just because he can do it.
To
Was
help
he
him
coming
out,
off
Nate.
of? Sorry, go ahead.
No, it was really dumb. I was gonna say, to help him out, he's like, set up a basketball goal and put like a mini ball in my hand, and then maybe I can jump across.
Was he coming off of like uh The Devil's Advocate? Like, what was his movie before this? Can you look it up?
Yes.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Some bad green screen there, but again, 1999, you're gonna have
Yeah,
some of
Devil's
that.
Advocate was 97, so that was
Oh, so he probably
very,
had
very
something else in between.
possibly. Let me.
People hate on that movie.
I love that movie. Well,
It's
not love. I enjoy that movie.
yeah,
Did you know Charlize Theron was in that movie?
yeah, sure.
So I mean, he'd already had like Speed and Point Break, obviously.
Right.
Come on,
He
before
was
this.
doing he was doing okay.
Yeah, Devil's Advocate 97. I guess he was in Bram Stoker's Dracula in 92.
Oh, missed it. This is great. Your mind makes it real. That's such a genius way to just explain a rule in one sentence.
Yeah.
Because it clearly will matter very much. Like if you're in the theater and you go to the bathroom when that happens, you're like, the second half of the movie makes no sense at all.
Like, wait, I thought it wasn't real. Oh my God, his mind makes it real, obviously. You learned that 18 minutes ago. Why am I now stupid for not knowing it? I also forgot, I mean, I love this movie, but I forgot it was this close to The Matrix. The Replacements came out 4 months after this.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So either they shot that super fast or he was like doing some simultaneous shooting. That's crazy.
He was like, don't worry, I'll shave my whole body for the one scene. Like, you don't have to do that. We keep telling you. We have bald caps and like, that's what Christian Bale would do. Can I make myself sickly ill and lose 80 pounds? You actually don't need to do any of that.
So he has a British accent for this particular role.
That was
Because I
Christian
still don't
Bale.
know what his real. I know I don't know what his actual accent is. Still, if we're talking about Christian Bale, I'm not sure.
Have you seen Ted Lasso?
Yes.
what's the line he has where he's like, how many countries are in this country when they talk about someone being Welsh?
How many countries are in this country? Four.
Fool.
Four.
Like a quick answer.
Yeah, it's like he just tells them.
You know, it's funny, if you walk down the streets of New York, and I know this having lived there for 3 years, down the streets of New York dressed like Morpheus, you'd be the 99th weirdest person on any given block. People would be like, and?
I mean, clearly they're in the financial district right now because that's a lot of suits.
Yeah.
A lot of black and white going on.
All right, I'm going to take my computer with me while I refill my drink, but I'll be with you the whole way. In between action sequences is when I like to exit.
What are you getting there? Just a Capri Sun?
Have a Kool-Aid jammer that I've had in the fridge.
Oh, nice.
I don't think Kool-Aid jammers have flavors. They're just colors. What flavor is this? Blue. That doesn't have a taste.
Try it. There's the reflection in the sunglasses again, you know? And specifically in this one, you can see the agent's hand holding the gun at Neo's head. Very well done. I wonder if their glasses were just actually that shiny, or if they had to go in and digitally add that in there. It'd be interesting to know. Oh, there it is. Trying to tell me that I can dodge bullets. When you're ready.
How many people died trying to dodge bullets after this came out? Like the Jackass effect?
I'm actually Alex English's evil twin brother. Alex English died in a horrible bullet dodging accident. I shot him, actually. We were playing in the backyard.
And we will mourn for him in the press.
I love the idea that like they're basically just flying these ships in like tunnels underground, and that the machine world has like sentinels that are basically just like going around and trying to like find any sign of life and murder it, and that they have like, you know, IEDs and stuff to destroy them. It's like the whole, you were asking if there's like a novelization for the, they'd be dumb not to, because there's so much meat on the bone here. I mean, you could literally just do a 300-page book just about the Sentinels and how those came to be.
Yeah, I mean, shit, you could have there's probably fans that write them every day begging to.
I think I said IED. I meant EMP. God, I'm a nerd.
Same thing. When you were describing the Sentinels to just walk around looking to murder any living being, I immediately thought of my ex-wife. Maybe she was part Sentinel.
Probably. There you go.
My real wife, I just walked out and she's watching Grey's Anatomy, so we're pretty much on watching the same thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's I believe Katherine Heigl's character is the Sentinel on that show.
Mm-hmm. I think she was more difficult to work on set than these creatures would have been.
All right, so here's
okay. So these are basically the machines.
Yeah. Here's the thing that I still think to this day, you know, 11-year-old me and present day me still thinks this. The movie's good, right? Obviously, we're doing a whole podcast on it. Like, we can't wait for the sequel. We love the other sequels, but there is something to be said about how much more fun the movie is when you're in the Matrix versus when you're on the ship.
Wow, so true.
Like, so much more fun, right? Like, that's where all the action happens. Like, it looks sleek, it looks cool. This is like grimy and kind of like, you know, it's a lot of exposition. Like, I wonder if they actually, when they were editing it, if at any point they were like, we need to cut down on the scenes in the real world because it's kind of becoming a bummer. Like, we need more, like,
Well,
let's add in a scene with the training, or like, because that's just so much more fun.
and in a lot of sci-fi movies, like, okay, so the Nebuchadnezzar is like, the for basically all intents and purposes, like the rebel alliance part of this, right? It's like, all right, we're the ragtag group who's like kind of, this ship's being held together by duct tape, but they don't
Right.
fucking do anything except serve as an expository part of the film. So
Right.
also the Matrix part is just fucking awesome anyway. So like
Right.
regardless of what the other part of the narrative is, you're probably going to be less interested.
Right. They can't do any of the superhero stuff in this world, right? They're just people, right? They're reading code and drinking bad liquor, it looks like.
And
I
I
wonder if it. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
do you think the second one, I mean, again, it's not like they had maybe notes on this, but the second one, I think much more of it is in the Matrix than this.
Oh, yeah. They spend like that opening scene on Zion, and then there's like a big attack on Zion, right? That's in the second one, I think.
Yeah, or
And
they're
then the
like,
rest of the
I
time,
can't,
you're in the
I can't
Matrix pretty much.
remember if like the attack is about to happen, and then in the third one, it's like them in the
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
like the mech suits
Sue us
versus the
for
machine.
not watching all three before doing this. God.
See you in court. Joe Pantoliano with the facial hair that says like,
It's
if
it's bad.
Nickelback needs another member, I'm
Or
willing.
I could be one of Robin Hood's like sidekicks. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And here we go. This is the big plot point. Which, you get this actor. You think there's any other actor that has an easiest time from going like, funny sort of sidekick to I'm actually an evil piece of shit?
Yeah, that's
He
kind of
does it in his sleep.
Joey Pants's
This
Joey
thing.
Pants's MO is like, I'm laughing at what you're saying, but also like I know you could stab me in the neck any second.
And also, I before you stab me in the neck, I backstabbed you to all your worst enemies.
I couldn't be an actor in a scene like this because we would keep fucking up, so I would just get more steak. Oh no, was that a bad take? All right. I think I did a bad take with some of the cheesy potatoes also, if we have more of those.
Creamed spinach? Anybody?
Just a
I love how he
sampler.
like this is great. He like sniffs the wine like he's. It's like I know it's fake, but it doesn't matter. It still smells good. And I
This is
mean,
like I think the Wachowskis, I'll just say both, cover my bases.
sure.
They took this scene and then for the Merovingian scene in the second one, they were like, let's crank it up to 11. In terms of the pretentious way to eat like a basic
Right,
meal.
right. So do you think they're like at Ruth Chris? Like, does it just smell like butter in there? Like,
Butter and garlic. And then they tell the waiter only at the very end, by the way, we're paying with a gift card. Oh God. Motherfucker.
some way too much water in that oatmeal.
Yeah,
I
Jesus.
mean,
Can we microwave this a little more?
oatmeal is not bad. Just maybe don't have it be like a 80% water to 20% oatmeal ratio.
Right. When you poured this in, you actually thought this was the correct proportions?
Well, as we know, the proportions on the box are never accurate. They
No,
literally just want you. They want you to just drink water.
I think I've been eyeballing the water in my oatmeal for probably like the better part of a
Yes.
decade.
Correct. Yes.
It's like the 2-minute drill. I'm just better when we don't have to like game plan everything. Mouse. See, okay, if you're listening to this commentary, you've seen it. Does he die in this one? Because he's not in the second one.
He dies. He dies hard. Yes. He's the
Okay.
first one to die, actually.
They're setting him up clearly to die.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, let's make him really likable, and he's becoming buddies with Neo, and he's a
Man,
little pervy about the woman in the red dress.
yeah.
Like he's
To be fair,
insinuating there's like an extra program where Neo could fuck a computer program. That's literally what just happened there.
Or you could fuck like a bunch of zeros and ones.
I like that he would take the time to do that in like literally they're in the apocalypse, but this guy's like, no, trust me,
But he's
I have a
coding like ways to
program for you.
masturbate.
Meanwhile, he's on Morpheus's ship though, you know. So clearly, he must be very good at coding. Like he did all the stuff that Morpheus asked him to do, and then just had extra time. So he's like,
Look, this is a
let me do this
passion
stuff
project.
really.
Yeah, make sure I get my work done
I
first.
gotta stay
and then
sharp. I gotta stay sharp.
Yeah. I'm honing these skills outside of work also.
All
You're
right.
welcome.
So this is a nitpick. This is not a nitpick. I'm just curious what your thoughts are. So he says, sit back and enjoy your flight. So earlier in the movie, Morpheus says that we're closer to the year 2199. So is he referencing, 20th century flight attendant language because they saw it in the Matrix? Or, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of funny. He's making a reference to something that would have happened 200 years ago.
Yeah, maybe he's a history buff.
Like, do we
Or he's trying to
reference
make
anything
some...
in our daily life that's from 200 years ago? And that's not even,
really...
that's like the 30s. Like, I can't,
Right. Yeah, I don't really talk about like
wheat crops.
Yeah, I don't really talk about the Industrial Revolution much, or like the. But maybe benefit of the doubt, he's trying to make a reference that Neo would understand.
There you go. You think he like looked that up so he could have like the sick reference? Neo would like really appreciate this.
He's like, I got a list of things I'd like to force into the conversation that Neo would understand.
We just missed the noodles reference that I made all the way at the beginning of this podcast that people would be very confused about unless they paid attention just then. They drive by a place and he's like, I used to eat their really good noodles. And like, I can relate, you know? That's why I was like, how good are the noodles? Like, do I go blue pill? Because, we've all had good noodles.
Oh my God, yes.
Is it like rainy and kind of chilly outside when I'm having these noodles? Because
it better be.
Maybe the Matrix is the way to go.
Damn, I really want ramen now. The HBO Max subtitles are really pissing me off because they're cutting off like the last letter in each line with an ellipses, and I'm like, if you removed those 3 dots, you could fit the fucking letter you're cutting off.
Are you a yellow or white subtitle guy?
I don't know. You could change it. I think I'm on white.
Oh yeah, I think depending on what device you're. I always go yellow. I'm on a Fire Stick. It pops better.
Where do I do
One thing that bothers me about this is that at least on my device, all the subtitles are in all caps except when they whisper. When they whisper, it's just the first. And to me visually, it just looks better to just have the first letter be in caps. Like they're not yelling at each other, you know.
Yeah. So, yeah, it seems like they're screaming constantly.
Just. Is a good right.
So the actress who plays the Oracle is
she's
Gloria Foster.
So recognizable.
Let me pull her name up. She is also in the second one, but passed away before they could finish filming Revolutions, right?
Yes, and then they changed the actress. Correct.
Yeah.
And they have like an explanation, like, well, sometimes we just look different. It's a computer program.
Yeah. Yeah, she's in. All right. Yeah, The Matrix Reloaded is last credit.
We're getting to the scene here where and it's not even, it's not that much of a theory, but in terms of the rules of the world, I think this is basically just the thesis statement is this very next scene when he gets to the Oracle. Is it the same
apartment in the second one?
Ooh, well, I know this in the second one is that courtyard where he fights like 100 agents. It might be.
Yeah, to me that was like the communal area of the apartment complex. Like
this is so reminiscent of like Professor Xavier, like his school, like
that's
one of the kids. Like it's such a callback to that. Yeah. All right, here we go. So you see this? I don't know why this little girl is dressed like a monk. So she bends the spoon. And by the way, this is a callback to the beginning of the movie where the Morpheus says we never wake up anybody who's old. So that's why everybody here is a kid, because
Right.
typically the mind can't accept it, which is
It's not malleable when you're that
right,
old. You can't.
right. Here we go. It's just you.
Yeah, these are moments where this movie, I'm like, fuck, I'm not smart enough to watch this shit. Why do I even try?
So what she's basically saying is that like this is all a computer generated world. None of this is real. So
Mm-hmm.
the rules of the world are whatever your mind can like actually conjure and accept. And in a world like if you are able to control the code, right? Because you're aware and you're able to accept and be aware of that idea, then you can technically do anything in there, right? And those are the rules. The rules are just how powerful of a quote unquote hacker are you? Like what can you actually accept and do in the world? And that's where I think that little scene right there kind of sets up the rules. So for Neo, the rules are like way different than for Trinity because he's just more powerful, right? He's a better quote unquote hacker. That's kind of how I explain it to myself. I don't know. What do you think?
Who explains this for dummies is Space Jam at the end in the final game. No, literally, where they explain like the rules
Okay.
of Looney Tune Land to Michael Jordan, where he's like, all right, let's drop a fucking play. Let's set a pin down screen. And they're like, dude, it's Looney Tune Land. Like, if you can imagine it, you can just fucking do it.
Right.
So it's kind of
Exactly.
that same concept, except to what you said,
Yeah.
it's a little more acumen based. Like,
It differs per person.
correct.
You know, that's why he's the one, because he can
Right.
bend it and to his
He can code it. Yeah.
basically, yeah.
Yeah, they should have explained it the way you did, as opposed to. And I'm not complaining about the movie. I'm complaining about my own intelligibility to like basically decipher this. But again, I enjoy these movies, and knowing that the high concept stuff sometimes goes over my head.
Yeah, and it's fine. I don't think you like have to understand that to just be like Neo's a badass and he can just do whatever he wants. You know, like
Yeah, when the shit clicks at the end, and he's like, well, spoilers, sorry,
yeah.
and he beats the shit out of Agent Smith, I still get a boner, even though I don't exactly know how he does it.
If anybody's like watching this and listening to us for the first time, I call us, write us. I want to meet you. Well, maybe I don't want to meet you actually.
You
You're
might
probably
not.
a
I think
serial killer.
we had a guy once that wanted to make a lampshade out of Matt Geiger's skin, and I was like, I'll give you his address. So
I love how she like
I,
looks at him, like inspects him like a doctor to be like, "Are you the one? Let me look at your mouth. What are your
you are the
lymph
one.
nodes like?"
You also have hepatitis C, but you're definitely the one. Now, in the second one, and I hate to like jump across movies, but I'm just like remembering things about the Oracle. What does she? So I know she has like little kids here, but in the second one, if I remember right, she doesn't have any of these little kids except the one helping her in the kitchen.
Yeah,
But
it changes
but then she also
dramatically, and
has
there's a
it's like the bodyguard too, right? Where's that guy?
yeah. Well, and I think it's because she says that because she's like a rogue program within the Matrix, it's getting
Mhm.
more dangerous for her. So they explain it with like a sentence, like, "Oh, I have to have protection" or whatever.
And the cookies is
It's
kind of
again,
a thing.
right. She's got phone books on the fridge. God, that's a thing
Yeah,
that
how can you
doesn't
be
exist
so
anymore.
advanced yet also so behind?
How many forests did we just straight up burn to the ground for all the phone books? You know.
God, worth it. I do remember actually in the back of I think it was the Yellow Pages, there were some pretty bomb coupons. Like I'm
I
talking
do
like
like
half
what.
off pizzas.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
She's got a bread box. Do you see that in the back? Like, do those actually work? I've always wondered. I feel like the bread
Yeah,
would
so
still go stale.
yeah,
It's just a slightly bigger, smaller cabinet. Like,
like how many days
you put a loaf
are
of
we
bread in
adding
it.
to the life? How many days are we adding to the life of the loaf? Let's be honest.
Right. Everybody knows if you want to keep a loaf fresh, you just put it in a Ziploc bag in the fridge. I mean, that thing will be good for like 20 days.
God, do I forget
Don't
about anything more than I forget about my loaves of bread?
Well, it's
No,
not good for you anyways, okay? You don't need that stuff. It's poison.
you're right. This
Just
body's a
drink
temple.
beer and whiskey instead. Yeah.
Yeah, clean in, clean
There's
out.
also it's liquid bread, so fine.
I say clean in,
No,
clean out, and the narrator says, Jeff ate a red velvet cake before the podcast started.
I
He wouldn't be
I like what
wrong.
Morpheus said before he walked in. And it's key, right? You just kind of think it's a throwaway line, but he's like, she's just a guide. She's just gonna tell you some stuff. He's basically not saying that what she's gonna tell you is gonna be true or not true. She's just telling you what you have to hear to help get you to the next place, which is a cop out, but it's
Well,
also
and
like,
I know that's where
you know,
they fuck with him
it's
even worse,
poetic.
I think,
It's
in the
poetic.
second one. Because in the second one, she tells him, like, all right, now that you fulfilled the prophecy, like, these are the real world implications. And he's like, well, Jesus, if you hardly know what's going on in the Matrix, how do you know what's going on in the real world? But also, Neo's like, has she ever been wrong? Is what he straight up asked Morpheus. He's like, dude, I don't know. I'm not a bookkeeper in
Yeah.
Vegas, but probably not.
Well, he also tells him just now, like, whatever she told you is just for you. Then he proceeds to just share, as does Trinity. So I'm
Yeah.
like, they're not really listening very well. Oh, Mouse. Great death for Mouse here, though. Like, I'm a big fan. Like you said, they set him up, but they gave him a good death.
Yeah.
I love all these like old school, like, what is that, like an Oldsmobile?
Something like that. Yeah. If you
Yeah.
drove that in like the 50s, 60s, you were definitely involved in organized crime.
Right.
Sweet necklace, dude. How much was that at American Eagle? It is, I will say, one of the easiest ways to build tension in these movies is like when they're trying to get out of the Matrix. Like even right now, like seemingly everything's fine, but you're like, it's like a duck, right? There's like something below the surface
Yeah.
bubbling. You're like, well,
Well,
we
and
shouldn't be walking up the stairs.
know
Let's fucking walk faster.
you already know Joe Pantaleone's characters. You like he's already clearly he's double crossing them, and
Oh, I mean, you don't cast Joe Pantaleone and he is like a straight up character.
by the way, I still make this joke like whenever something weird happens in the world. In this case, it's deja vu. But whenever like something weird happens, I'm like, is a glitch in the Matrix. Like she just said, like deja vu. That means there's a glitch in the Matrix. Like I still make that reference all the time,
Oh yeah, as you should.
as I should. There's people graduating college who like that were not born when this movie came out. So
That's insane to me.
here, yeah, here we go. Oh, that's a brick wall now. That sucks. That's a good. I'm about to die. Oh no. He's like, oh no, time to get the Gatling guns.
I don't think we have enough
Great death.
bullets in there.
It's a great death. He just goes
You know,
out swinging. You know,
go for it.
he's basically like they give him a Tony Montana death. I mean, you can't do any better than that.
Yeah, good
I don't
for
think
him.
I've never seen that dude in another movie. You know.
No, he died in real life for filming that scene.
Yeah, if you die in the Matrix, you die in real life. You die in real life too. So it's
Everyone knows
unfortunate
that.
for him.
It's a sacrifice his estate was willing to make.
Do you think when like the team was like choosing their outfits and what's her name, the blonde is like, I want to go all white? Do you think they were like, really? Like we had a whole aesthetic here. They had like she really
This
had
is
to
what I
convince them.
picked.
It goes with my hair.
Don't let me pick my wardrobe if you're not gonna let me pick my wardrobe.
Like they're all sitting there like all in a row, like selecting like sick dark leather, and she's last, and she picks like the brightest one, and they're just like, okay.
Also, we have a
Oh
lot of
yeah,
fingerless gloves in this movie. Maybe the most useless piece of apparel that's ever existed. Because the
by the
palm of
way,
my hands never gets cold, only my fingers.
it's crazy. It's been like 30 to 40 minutes, I feel like, since we've seen Hugo Weaving.
Yeah, I need some Hugo
That's
Weaving in my life.
Yeah, that's crazy that like I don't think I realized that on the rewatch a few days ago. Like we go a lot of the movie with him, with basically the main villain of the movie, and then he's in the last act. Like
Mm-hmm. It's weird. I actually think he has a lot more screen time in the second one after rewatching this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right. We're about to start the third act, and that is where he's more prominent. This looks, I'm not even being funny here, like the bathroom from Saw.
He just reused the same set.
Yeah. Why is
This is
Carrie
great.
Elwes' sawed-off ankle here?
some great quick thinking there by Morpheus to just be like, where is the nearest? I forget what he said, but he basically was saying like, where's the main line of the pipes? He says that, and you think there's like a plumber who's like watching The Matrix for the first time. He's like, they're gonna crawl through the wall. Meanwhile, everybody else
I've
is
been
like,
there.
why is
Am
he
I
asking
right?
for that? Why is he asking for that?
My kids say my job isn't cool.
I figured out a Matrix scene 10 seconds before the audience. Oh, with the fake cough. Not good.
You would, Joey Pants.
Although I guess he's kind of putting his own life at risk here. So I guess he technically coughed for real because he had some dust in his nose, right? He could just be getting shot here, you know?
It's
Like, I don't think
pollen
he meant to
season.
do that. He looks like such a noob shooting the gun there for the first time.
Well,
He's just
just
like,
the
oh,
blind
just
shoot.
shoot. Right.
That, I believe, is the first time we see Agent Smith do that, right?
No, the very first scene when Trinity's getting chased, he changes from the driver of the truck. But they show it like, they only show like
I was going to say, for some reason, I thought he was the driver the whole time.
No, I think it's just like a regular truck, and then he sees Trinity, so he hits the brake on the truck. He changes, yeah.
Because that's like his fucking move in the second one. That's like all he does.
Yeah. Well, he does it a whole lot in the second half of this movie too. That's how I always wondered if that was a thing that happens. Like if you're destroying the wall on the inside, does the tile fall off on the other side? Like how hard are you having to slide with your leather boots to make that happen, you know?
Pretty hard, yeah, but if it's quality leather.
Quality leather shoes, poor crafty work on the tiles, you know?
Yes, it takes a good combination of the two. Got an aesthetic that always works in movies is like a smoky room with lasers.
Oh yeah,
like
you can't go wrong.
Laser scopes. So we really, to this point, correct me if I'm wrong, and I may very well be wrong, haven't got to see Agent Smith like full on fight someone yet.
No, not really.
Because we saw Morpheus like training with Neo, so we're like, okay, he's not the best fighter, but he's very capable. So to see him get his ass whooped like this.
Right. Although he lands a few, you know? So like he is strong,
Yes.
but it's not even close, yeah.
It's like Adam Dunn. He's like, I'm gonna hit 114, but when I do connect.
That one's for the real ones right there.
Yeah. People are like, God, I've been fucking waiting. It only took like an hour, 30 minutes for an Adam Dunn joke. Jesus.
I love the bullet.
Let me ask you this, Alex.
Frame.
Why doesn't Hugo Weaving act more?
So I was talking to somebody about this the other day, and I think that he is just one of those guys who just is perfectly fine just doing like theater in London, you know? Like I don't know that for a fact, but it's probably a fact.
Dude, how fucking awesome would it be to go to a pub, get shit-faced, and then go to a theater in London and watch a Hugo Weaving play?
I would do it.
That would be incredible.
Should we just like plan our trip instead of watching the rest of this movie right now?
Kind of now, yeah. Can you get a sitter for like 2 weeks and we'll catch a few EPL games? Everybody wins. By everybody, do you mean just
no? They're actually all being canceled because of COVID right now. And we made it an hour and a half with that, almost an hour and a half. Not mentioning it. That's pretty good.
I don't care when this drops. COVID will still probably be a thing. So
it's still gonna be
2076.
Green.
Yeah.
Green content. So gotta say, maybe be a little bit more concerned when this guy calls in separate. Considering
what a miracle you got out. Everyone else is being fucking like rim jobbed by the agents.
So another, again, in special effects, this movie looks amazing, but like something about like fake lightning, it just looks very like original Mortal Kombat Raiden, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I think even Ghostbusters in the 80s did this better.
Yeah, you can only make it look so good, you know?
Also, Tank, I love you, bro, but like bomb rushing the laser gun, is that really the strategy to go
I like,
with? Now you're Anakin Skywalker. I was reading Sandra Bullock turned down the role of the Matrix, and I think it's kind of infamous that Will Smith turned down Neo. And I know in
he's turned
hindsight,
down some movies.
yeah, he has. I know in hindsight it's easy to be like, dude, what a fucking idiot. But I gotta be honest, man. If you like, okay, late 90s, both of those actors had really steady careers. This to me on paper could have looked like a risk that you're just like, dude, I don't know if I can do this right now, right?
Yeah, and what was the Wachowskis' previous thing to this? Like, did they have
That's really
anything anywhere near this big? Not really,
probably
right?
not. I'll look them up. Assuming they've done everything together. Um, Bound is the only movie I can see in 1996. They did a
Ooh,
movie
I've
called
actually
Assassins in 1995.
heard of that.
Yeah, but either way, they weren't like bankable at this point, you know?
Right. Yeah.
I would have been scared to death to do this movie, if I'm being honest.
I mean, I think it was one of those things where like when Warner Brothers saw the script, they were like, "Oh, we have $1 billion franchise here." Like, but you're right. Like, if you're Will Smith, you're like, "Well, I have multiple of those, so I'm good."
Yeah.
This one, and almost
Plus,
like it actually it's a little bit too serious for him. Like, I feel like he's not right in this movie,
agreed,
you know?
definitely. And Independence Day came out 3 years before. I could see him maybe being like, I don't want to be
Right.
typecast like the sci-fi guy.
Right. It was
And
already
even
kind of
Black,
when he did Men in Black and that back to back.
yeah,
You're like, oh, he's just the guy who plays in the Alien movies now.
yeah, I would. That's probably a smart move on his part.
Right.
Sandra Bullock's like, I just did Speed with this fucking guy. I don't want to do another movie with him. Wow, we just unplugging dudes. It's so fucked up.
Just unplugging like the characters who have had like three lines. Let's kill them
Now,
first.
I was too distracted by the steak in the scene, but when Cypher is meeting with Agent Smith at the restaurant, do they explain the reason for their partnership? Or is he just being
Yeah, yeah,
blackmailed,
yeah, yeah.
basically?
He's basically just like, I will give you what you want, which is Morpheus, in exchange for just take me back to the Matrix. I don't want to live in the real world. I want to pretend this never happened. And then he adds, also make me rich or someone important, dot, 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 like an actor, which I feel like that's just something he ad libbed. And they're just like, oh, okay, Joe, you're an actor. So you couldn't come up with something better?
Yeah.
Make me a billionaire with zero problems. It's like the Office thing where Dwight's like in his fantasy he's like assistant manager. It's like that. It's like, oh, an actor, okay.
And I
Is
can
he a
also
bankable
fly.
actor?
Right. I'd have one hit in the 80s, and now that's all people recognize me as.
This is some great line delivery by him though. He's like, how could he be the one if he's dead? Like he says it so like, which logical.
Yeah, and
It
when
would,
his like cadence of speaking is just
yeah, it would have to take some sort of a miracle. And there we go. Oh yeah.
this is what Alex, is what you have to do in the playoffs. You have to play through injury, you know?
Listen, had he seen Zombieland, he would have double tapped and the movie ends. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
just
you
you
have to
gotta.
double tap, you have to work on your cardio. We all know this. If this were modern day without caller ID, you're not answering that phone. I don't care if it's going to get you out of the matrix. You don't know. That's spam risk right there. Damn, bro, that's like your insides.
Yeah, he's like, I'll be all right. I'm like, will you? Because your guts are kind of hanging out. But he's a child of Zion, so
He's like, my guts are always out. Why aren't yours out? Like, no, that's not
mul-
normal.
Malfa and Norwich. So what do you think? Malfa is like what, like insurance, and Norwich is like medical?
These are probably companies like Kirkland brand where they have like such a large disparity of things they sell, it really concerns you.
They,
It's like,
they
yeah, we sell trail mix and diapers. You're like, what?
also fresh fish. It's like,
Yeah. I mean, I'm buying all three because they're an affordable price and a quality product, but I am alarmed. Morpheus being handcuffed. He's like, Morpheus, look, I know your kink. All right, so they can thank me later.
I will believe that as a species, human beings define their realities.
This is where like Hugo Weaving at his best when you just give him monologues, really. And that's why it gets even better in the sequels because there's like 80 Hugo Weavings. He talks about evolution a lot. It's funny because like in movies when villains usually give like these speeches to people, the person they're giving the speech to is tied up and like on the brink of death and they're like, dude, honestly, maybe you have some convincing points, but I'm bleeding out right now. So I really am probably not at my most receptive. Maybe should have waited when I had a fresh bottle of water to hear this.
there's the computer screen again. I think they literally just use the same one in Enemy of the State.
Dude, this is like when touch screens, if you saw one, I remember being like, dude, we'll never have that technology. Fuck off.
Now we're upset when like I touch the screen like just with the right amount of pressure and it doesn't do what I want,
Oh
and
my
I just
God.
toss my phone in the garbage.
And light it on fire because you're like, well, this is a fucking relic. It's a paperweight.
So this is one of the it's a great plot point, right? And it's one of those where it's like, well, clearly they're not murdering Morpheus, but we have to have it in there because they're like, oh, we just pull the plug and then they'll never get to him. And then I
I hate
love
to
how
keep.
Agent Smith also says the same thing. He's like, well, if here we go. He's basically like, well, if that's the case, then they're gonna unplug him immediately. So like the machine common sense of it all, they're like, well, that's what they would do. That's what the machine would do. But they can't, they can't understand the love aspect or like the caring. I care for this person, so I'm not just gonna do the thing that makes the most logical sense. And then Neo comes in and he's like, stop. Which, by the way, can you wait any longer? The guy had his hand on the thing.
Yeah. He's like, and I have a quick trigger finger. You've played Time Crisis 2 with me.
Well, maybe he knew that he was a little slower because literally his guts are hanging on the floor. He's like, his reaction time's not as good right now.
Yeah. Yeah, the guts on the floor guy, I mean, we got to give him MVP, really.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, just shoot some cortisone in me and I'm fucking good.
I'll be all right. What about your brother? He's dead. He's not going to be.
He's the most dead you could be.
I think I'm going to join you in a.
He tried to bum rush someone with a fucking laser gun. So honestly, at this point, it's Darwinism. It's like,
I'm going to join you in some brown here.
Good idea.
You've given me the. Let's see.
Neo, I hate to keep doing this, but I don't hate to keep doing this, making Dragon Ball Z analogies. But it's almost like
I don't think we've made enough.
Yeah, I agree. It's for him to like realize the prophecy of being the one, he needs to be backed into a corner, a la Morpheus's life on the line. It's like turning Super Saiyan.
Right.
Right, like
Of
some
course.
guys can only do it when they completely snap or they realize like, oh, it's the fourth quarter. We need me to score here. Give me the ball.
Give me the ball. No, it makes. I mean, this movie has a lot of like classic, archetypal like hero tropes, but it's fine. Like that's how you tell a hero story. It doesn't.
Right, they're archetypes because they work, you know?
Right.
Neo's like, look, before I go in, Trinity, I have to. Are you a lesbian or are we gonna fuck? I don't, because I feel like we have chemistry, but also like I don't know, you and the blonde chick in the car with the gun. That was a weird sexual.
You have short hair. It's 1999. That
Yeah.
used to mean something back then.
You have short hair, but so did the chick in Free Willy. I don't think she was a lesbian, so I'm just trying to like put all the pieces together.
What's the Venn diagram of that reference? Actually, if it's people our age group, probably just a circle.
Yeah. Well, that chick's, I mean, 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. She's also in Point Break with Keanu Reeves.
Oh my god, amazing! This
She's
is
the
why
one
you do this.
that Swayze like fucks on the side just enough to keep her interested in coming around, but he's not really going to commit to her.
Animal.
This is how the company of the agents like lays people off. This is like the speech they give all of them. And then they ask him to sign the 2-month severance thing.
I do love this. This is it's a baller speech, like great monologue by Hugo. I bet he had a great time doing this, where he's basically like, human beings aren't a mammal, they're a virus.
When I read this shit, I'm like, I'm sure some of this was written, but Hugo that day, was in his trailer just like trying different fucking lines. Next step of human evolution.
Like the way he says virus, he's like, a virus. Like, no, there's no accent. He just invented a thing, and went with it, and it works.
And honestly, human beings suck. Nothing he's saying is wrong, really.
The machine has a point. He's like, we're the cure. You created us. It's evolution.
Very true.
You created us because you're not very smart about anything you do ever. So
this scene, I remember being in theaters, and I started doing like fucking push-ups in the walkway at the movie.
Oh, when they they basically just load up with like 50 guns each, and they go like take down an entire lobby.
Yeah. So we have on the Broforce Squad, we have a game we play in action movies called Action Movie Bingo.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar.
We have all the action movie tropes, and you try to get big. One of them is like the arming up scene before the final battle, which is like always my favorite.
This is like an all-timer. I mean, they literally
this is like the basically like the gold standard for like your loading up scene. Because I always my favorite part of the trope, and I remember this in like the old Joel Schumacher Batmans. They grab like 30 fucking gadgets, and you're like, where the hell are you gonna put these? On your person. So you need to be very mobile. You just had.
You notice he just took off his little head earpiece. I remember like missing that the first time, and then being very confused later on when the other agents walk in and they're like, "Where have you been?" Because they're like in his ear, like, we're getting attacked by Neo and Trinity, and he's just over here, just like, whispering sweet nothings to Morpheus.
Yeah, I mean, this lobby scene, how much fucking marble is destroyed? All the marble.
All of it.
That day on set must have been the most dusty thing we've ever seen. Poor craft services trying to set up the meal afterwards.
The movie for this last third here gets some of the action scenes they're so over the top cool, they almost become campy, but they don't, because again, it's $63 million budget, so it's impossible for something that costs that much to also be campy. But you'll see what I mean. Like, there's certain motions and movements that they do where you're just like, okay, they clearly had fun with that, but then they kept it in the movie, and it works because it's Neo realizing, like, I'm a superhero. Like, and superheroes have to do superhero landings, and they have to do superhero shit, and that's why we're superheroes.
I always love
this line right here. Hold on. He's like,
putting
please
guns
remove
through
your
a metal
metallic
detector.
items, loose change, keys. He's just like
semi-automatic.
The character in GTA.
Neo's like, you know what set it off? I think I have a Prince Albert piercing on my dick. That or the 9 semi-automatic rifles around my belt. I will say, to make a reference, I know you like Family Guys like me. I like the heyday of the show. This scene plays like a Family Guy joke where it goes, it's funny, then it's unfunny, then it gets so gratuitous it's funny again. To me, that's how like the exploding pillars and walls of the lobby are. It's like, art, it's cool. We've done too much of it. Oh, you've stayed committed. All right, it's fucking cool again.
Is it actually protecting them at all? I don't think so.
Dude, can you imagine?
Explode upon contact.
Yeah, and you can tell this is a lot of like foam and shit just because of like how it's.
Oh yeah.
Right. But can you imagine having to reset a single one of these set pieces?
No.
Was wire work even a thing? Because again, knowing this came out before Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, this like sets the bar. Because like Goldmember makes fun of it. Obviously, a ton of movies after this. Yeah, this is like play the fucking.
I just
dubstep.
Just lift, you know.
For real. Everyone right now needs to grab a kettlebell and just start doing fucking military press. But grab your drink too. Drink in one hand, kettlebell. Dude, if you have a shotgun, you brought a knife.
Yeah, what are you doing? Right. Oh, I love how Trinity steals it from him, then shoots him in the back from like 2 inches away. It's like that's how you use it as a shotgun. Okay?
You're not using this properly. Let me show you on you. They'd be like, you get an oil change. It's like, I think the car runs well. Why don't you lay in the back of it and I'll put it in reverse over you.
This scene is so over the top, and I love it so much.
Dude, the guitar riff right now, like, I have a boner.
It's just some dude just like crushing it on the bass. He's like,
I don't have the DVD, but I guarantee you that guitar riff is playing on the DVD menu of this movie. And if it's not, someone should be fired.
Someone's getting fired. Oh yeah, a little kung fu just for the fun of it.
Dude, imagine all this happens and you're the guy that Neo.
By the way, there's the first like little campy like he does the little like superhero landing, almost like we just wasted a bunch of dudes. But again, it works because it's
the guy he just killed. His wife's gonna get the report like, yeah, they shot up the whole fucking lobby. How'd my husband die? He actually is the one guy that got scissor kicked. What? It was a gunfight. No, yeah, I know. He got scissor kicked to death though.
Here we go. They're like, what are you doing, buddy? He doesn't know. Also, kind of a plot hole. Like, why didn't the other agents just like morph into the bodies of the lobby guys and just maybe try to stop that before it escalated? You know,
Alex, that's a great question. I think they don't want to micromanage. You know?
Oh, you're right. They needed to wait for. They're like waiting for Smith to tell him what to do, and he wasn't listening.
They're like, look, could we go down there and sit over the shoulder of these guys and probably win? Yeah, but will anyone grow as a professional if we do that?
A lot of cool like elevator. Like I don't really understand what's happening here. I guess they rip the elevator and then use the counter force to go up.
Nice little Star Wars New Hope homage here as well when Luke and Leia swing across the bridge together.
Very nice.
Based on 90s action movies, I would have thought that I would spend a lot more of my time above an elevator in an elevator shaft.
A lot of elevator shaft situations in the 90s, of course, probably Ocean's 11 does the best version of that.
Yeah. The first Mission Impossible has a cool scene there.
Yeah. Oh, play for laughs right here. Very good. Their reaction just looking up all robotic at the water coming on. Now, this is a cool scene coming up here. Where obviously they're, she saves his life right there. And
a little bit of a, that's the first time I noticed it, maybe because of the helicopter, but a little bit of a T2 homage.
I was going to mention it earlier, actually. I totally agree.
Now, just would you say this coming up is the iconic scene from The Matrix? I think it is, right?
Yes, it has to be. Yes. Also, bad first shot. He missed him even without him
That
doing
wasn't.
it,
Yeah, I
you
didn't
know?
even need to do the cool ass fucking. Yeah, this is the iconic shot.
Yes. And then Trinity's like, so this is the part that's right. He's literally about to off him, but he forgot that Trinity's up there. And so I assume this is the first time she's ever killed an agent, because the way they talk about agents is
Right, like they're
don't
Jim
approach
Brown.
them. Right, right. But she's like, how did you do this?
What a pussy. He warps out as the guy dies. It wasn't me, it was Kim. I told you we needed to
I,
lay off Kim for
I
a
love
while.
this. Wasn't fast enough. It's like, okay, dude, all right. You missed like 12 shots, but it kind of scraped you. I think he's still
Oh,
trying
this
to
is a
show off.
tool. Oh, I remember thinking this
I love
concept
this.
had so much more
Amazing. Right?
potential, like just being able to upload information.
Right. Yeah, just now I can fly a helicopter. Let's go.
God, imagine if we had that now. There'd be like single guys out at the bar. Tell me how to talk to women.
And they would approach the
No,
women, and
it still didn't
wouldn't
work.
Yeah.
It didn't work.
Okay, so some incredible shooting by Neo here, because he's basically just. I mean, as you can see, he's just kind of like
How are you not wasting Morpheus?
going to town, but clearly, knows Morpheus is in the room, so I would have to imagine that it's his powers coming into play here a little bit. Like he's able to know exactly where he's shooting.
No one with
Right.
that hair
I mean,
makes that shot.
that's not a real hair. That hair is impossible. You can't.
He just impregnated every woman in the theater with that hair.
And that
One
gaze,
One of the cooler aesthetics, and Guy Ritchie has actually done a really good job utilizing this, is the slow motion handgun being shot, like watching the barrel like unload the shell. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that effect maybe didn't age as well, where they're shift, but how else are you gonna do it? I love this right here. He's like, great.
He's done orgasming. He's back.
Still not really sure what they were doing with the stuff. I guess trying to like chemically make him like almost like truth serum.
Yeah.
Of sorts.
And I think it was one of those things based on Agent Smith's MO. Like at a certain point, if they didn't get the information, it would have just killed him.
Right.
This is where Neo's got to be like, look, Jordan played with the flu. I know you're hurting, but you got to make this leap.
Yeah, whoever manufactured that carabiner there, I mean, that's got to be
It was probably Morpha, or whatever that company was. They do that and granola bars. And condoms.
I don't think we get enough helicopters in action movies. We get planes, we get trains, we get car chases. Like helicopters, underrated flying machine for action.
A lot you can do with them.
You can get this shot, like where you see the people hanging off.
Yeah, you can, because it's cool because you can fly them like in between cityscapes.
Right. That's some green screen right there. It's fine.
No, that's real. They really did that.
No, they were hanging above whatever city that is.
Mm-hmm.
Right here, like very good. That's like the video game drop where like I miss it the first 20 times and the person dies.
Mm-hmm.
If you have to time.
Or you do it, then you do it like too high, and you try, like in Zelda Ocarina of Time, when you can't dive roll if you're a certain height up, you just get splattered.
This is it right here. Now, okay, I don't care. His balance right here is just all time balance. Like this, but then this where he just sits on top. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, I would have just kept my heels on that brick.
I believe this is where, for the first time back in the real world, I love this, so cool right here where she smashes the glass on the, very cool.
This was like the trailer shot right there, I think.
Right, exactly. But they say back on the ship, they say, oh, he's the one, because I guess, there it is, see? So I guess all it took is just him doing some badass saving people. Like he managed to save both and escape agents.
And dodge. Had anyone ever dodged bullets before? Because I thought they made some reference to that earlier. Or is
Yeah,
he just saying you?
he said he was talking to Morpheus and he says, I'm saying that when you figure it out, you won't have to dodge bullets. Which of course we'll get there too.
Got it.
Incredibly composed there by a guy who had been tortured for the last
Yeah, he fucking
few hours. How does
snapped
time
out of
work
that
in
shit
Matrix?
quick.
Did they explain time in the Matrix? Does it flow normally? Is it like sometimes when like your like Windows has an update and then like your computer randomly shows like Pacific time zone and you're like, no.
Yeah, and
Was
it's
this
like international keyboard in Cupertino. You're like, why the fuck is this the default city? That's Apple, actually. I think that's where their headquarters is.
I think they are.
I didn't know that was a place for like 4 years, and then someone explained it to me. I was like, well, that makes more sense, but I'm still upset about it. You know, it's weird, and maybe this was before this was like his take on it, but Hugo Weaving now is very averse to sequels. Like, Marvel has asked him multiple times to come back as Red Skull, and the way he talks about it, it's like he would rather be burned at the stake. So to get him to do 2 and 3 for the Matrix is quite a treat.
That's what I'm saying. I think he's probably the kind of guy who was like, I need to do a Marvel so that I can have millions of dollars so I could just do theater for free in the park in London,
Right. He's an idiot though, because the sequels are really where you make the money,
True. By the way, could you pick a worse time to like, what are you doing? The phone's ringing, time is of the essence.
Women.
And a train,
right.
subway
how this is
by
gonna
with
end, though.
literally endless amounts of potential agents,
I mean, both of them could have been warped out by this time.
Right. Ooh, good timing there.
Uh-oh.
That's all right. I love how he says that, Mr.
The way Neo looks at him is he's like, dude, you fucked up. Morpheus has like a boner, and Trinity is like definitely getting a ladywood too, but for different reasons.
I love the they even have like the Western, like rattle. It's so just the way they play with all the genres is so cool.
Yeah.
But then turn it on its head with this, like.
Well, it's funny here because like the bullet aesthetic is really fucking cool, but I'm like, I'd rather just see these guys hand to hand fight,
Which, you'll get quite a bit of it here, obviously.
Right. When he blocks his punch and figures his shit out, that's when my theater went crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, he cracks his neck. That's such a great villain move. It's like,
oh my god, dude.
God, you guys need better chairs.
Could there be a final fight without the villain cracking his neck or his knuckles?
You need better chairs. Why is your back so stiff?
Yeah, the hero would stop him sometimes. Like, hey, do you need to like get your body right?
I like how he's still like he always has his little earpiece. Like, what is the range on those things?
Also, like, what are you going to be updated on? Like, you're with Neo. That's the only thing you really give a shit about. Again, the way the Wachowskis film this, like, you can't have a stunt double. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, he's got to be him, right? Them. I'm pretty sure, like, they probably had some seriously intense, like many hours of training to make it look as good as it does. Because it looks, I mean, it's like levels of, it's like like the Bourne movies, right? When they have like the close quarter combat and the Bourne movies, and you're like, God, this is cool. I could just watch an hour and a half of this. I love right here when he like the dust runs off of his blouse there.
Yeah. And the
What would you
wiping
call
the
that?
blood off your mouth, I mean, that's just like
That's
punching
iconic too.
That's iconic,
Where
yeah.
he's like, he took it from Morpheus in the training scene, of course.
This is
'Cause,
what Jets fans do in the parking lot after a really tough loss. They just
I love that. He like
find
just
random.
poked you. Oh, and I'm just gonna throw
Dude,
you
I
in the
forgot
water.
how great this choreography is.
It's so good. It's so good. Oh, that's
Shit.
can't feel good.
Getting like major Tekken vibes.
Tekken. God. The Street Fighter, Tekken, Mortal Kombat era of video game fighting.
Where you'd be
video
like
games.
button mashing and do a crazy ass move, and your friend will be like, "How'd you do that?" You'd be like, "I have no fucking idea.
I don't
I hit
know.
every button combination. I don't know what specifically caused me to shoot a fire blast at you."
Here we go. Here's the other 90s villain trope, just getting way too cocky and confident.
Yeah.
Like, well, I have you in a
Doc-
headlock, so that means this fight is over. It's like, what, dude? Guy
Great
dodges
Doctor
bullets.
What about this? So you're just gonna leave him to die? Yeah, I'm just gonna leave and assume everything goes according to plan. What? I have a gun in my room. We'll kill him together.
Oh yeah. Ooh, didn't see that
Shit.
one coming. Yikes.
Well,
Oh,
this is
yeah,
the
the
L train.
backflip.
You're fine because it'll probably be delayed in my experience. So
That one's for the New Yorkers who are listening.
yeah, all two of them. Much bigger in Belgium than New York. The way he's running towards the stairs, is like what?
Right. But I do love, this is actually a great, he's like, I'm strong enough to beat you once. I don't think I can beat you twice. You know, like,
Yeah.
So I'm going to take this 30-yard head start and hopefully, because that's literally what he had like 30 yards. I mean, he was like, the guy came out of the subway and he was by the stairs.
So he just morphed into like a different. The Sentinels, it's crazy. They're such a minor part of this movie and such a large part of the next two.
Right. Well, because I think we just spend, some of the critical plot points happening. Oh, this guy.
Oh, he's about to close a huge fucking stock trade right there. Damn it.
Huge deal. What's that guy's story? I hope somebody wrote a novelization of that guy.
I'll tell you what, he definitely didn't get where he is because of his dad. He did it all on his own.
So I guess the implication here, he says, oh shit, because he's in a crowd of people, meaning any of them could turn into an agent at any moment.
Anybody.
Right. So he's like, I don't want to be here. Like, I ideally would be in an alley with nobody.
And this concept, I think actually one of the weaker parts of the second one is how they just like abuse it with Agent Smith. Like he ends
they
up
just
having
turn into no matter where he's at.
Yeah.
I do love though when the grandma turns into Agent Smith and throws a knife at him here and then.
Yeah.
By the way, this is a great action movie thing where they just run through apartments of randoms.
Oh yeah, on the handheld.
But you know what I mean?
Like the guy right behind him.
Yeah, you're just always like running through innocent bystanders' apartments who are like knitting and watching, the Tonight Show. I love it right here. That's great. Throws the knife at him as he's walking out.
The color palette here, I'm getting big time like Daredevil on Netflix vibes.
Okay.
A little bit more.
Didn't they just?
It looks like The Wire.
Oh man, don't get me started on The Wire.
I'm like Michael Scott. Been watching The Wire. Don't understand a word of it. It's just so good.
All right, so what do we think about the Sentinels? So this is 1999, obviously CGI. It's not bad.
No, well, I appreciate it's ambitious, which I really appreciate.
Yeah.
Like to trying to fucking pull this off, people are like, bro, you're crazy.
Yeah. Like they look,
they're menacing. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah, there's
honestly,
actually a scene almost exactly like this in Revolutions where the Nebuchadnezzar is like dead, like it doesn't have any power. Remember in
yeah,
the
that's
temple where they're
right.
drilling
I
through?
remember that.
And I can't remember what they do to turn it back on.
Well, they probably, touch it in some spots that it enjoys being touched in, and then
Those spots don't exist.
yeah. A
Yeah,
lot
say
of,
what you want about this movie, like the effects that don't quote unquote hold up, which I think the majority of them do. The
oh
ones that
yeah,
don't are just ambitious. Like they're trying
which
stuff
is
that no one's
insane
tried.
because this is 22 years old. Like, I bet you any other movie from 1999 that was like special effects heavy looks like
Hmm.
just straight horror trash.
Oh, absolutely. There are
Like,
like
it's
mid
probably just
2000s movies that
right,
look gross compared to this.
right. It's amazing how well it holds up for being over 2 decades old, considering all the advancements we've had. And this is the big like, oh shit, what does this mean? But of course, if you've been paying attention to the movie and to the things that Trinity's been saying, there's a card they've yet to play.
Hmm.
Although when you're watching again, great use of gun and gun going off in slow
Oh
motion.
yeah, I mean that's one of their more effective
Yeah.
aesthetics.
I love how they do the like double, triple, quadruple. Like he just literally unloads a clip on him.
But he's not
Like,
bleeding
well,
from the mouth yet, so you're like, all right, he may be okay. He may be better than the guy whose guts are hanging out of the Nebuchadnezzar, the flight
by
attendant.
the way, that's a great thing too. Like the guy dying up against the wall, and then as he's sliding up against the
Oh,
wall, the blood
and the
like
blood drips
smears.
down.
I've
So
always
good.
wondered if that's something that happens in real life. Not that I want to find out. I don't even know how I would go about finding that out. But
Yeah, I'm good. Like just guessing.
if anybody out there knows, just write us in. Maybe don't experiment to find out. I
Also,
don't
if
want
you're
to be
someone
an
out there who
accessory to
knows,
murder.
get help. Yeah, find the help you need.
The look Morpheus had just there is like me on like the last day of my fantasy football regular season, where it's obvious I'm just gonna miss the
Yeah,
playoffs.
and you're like out of waiver claims, and one of your guys just was
Uh,
declared out minutes before
I have
kickoff.
like I have like a third string running back on a sub 500 team, and he just got injured on like the first drive.
Hmm.
And
Great.
it's like I really needed a touchdown from him, and it's just not gonna happen now.
Don't worry, he got 2 carries and 9 yards. Is that not enough?
Well, I'm in a PPR league. He also had a catch. Okay, that's a
Catch for
point.
3. Yeah.
All right. So what do we think about this? Is this they had to bring it in because it's machine versus human emotion, and that's the thing
Right.
a
What
machine
makes us
can't
different?
understand.
Because we're so
Right.
flawed. Yeah.
So she loves him, and because the oracle told her that she would fall in love with the one, therefore he has to be the one, and therefore bullets in his body make no sense in that world because he is a badass.
Yeah, I think
This right
this
here, this
movie.
sorry, this is campy in like the most amazing way. He's like no, and just what the way he like
Well, yeah, he does. There's a really cool scene where he does this again in Reloaded, where he
right.
just stops bullets. He's like, "No, I'm good,
It's
bro."
like nah. He
Nah,
picks
fam.
one up and looks at it. They look very disturbed. Though, like I don't know what's going on. It looks like half of those would have missed him. By the way,
He should sign it and then throw it back at them. Ultimate disrespect. Like autograph the bullet.
all right. So right here, the fighting is what it just gets me every time. Like he does like a little hand to hand combat with them, and just at one
Like
point
looks at his own
arm
hand while he's
puts
beating
his
their
arm
ass.
behind his back and beats him so easily, and just he's like, "What? This is so easy for me."
He's like
I love
bored. Yeah, this one.
Yeah,
He's
he's
like
like, "What is happening?"
texting his friend. He's on the BlackBerry playing Connect 4.
And this right here, this is just the way he puts his leg back down. Like that's just it shouldn't work, but it works. I don't know, it's just so ridiculous, but it's so cool at the same time.
I just love the like change in demeanor from the agents from like our shit don't
Yeah,
stank to like this dude's about to beat all of our asses
yeah.
in front of our kids and really humiliate us.
By the way, really gnarly choice here for Neo, you know? And
It'll just destroy him from the inside.
yeah, it's like, man, like bending the walls here, just taking a breath of not air. They're like, I think we're gonna run now.
Yeah, they don't want none.
Meanwhile, these
Nope.
guys are like literally about to get fried, and he's like
Yeah.
over there flexing.
This would be like if you're at Buffalo Wild Wings and your team's winning, but then like the fire alarm goes off. You're like, fuck, do we have to leave? Because I really want to watch the end of this.
I mean, they really could not have cut that any closer, you know?
Oh man,
Just
this looking as bad. It almost looks like animation now.
yeah, that wasn't great. The lightning effects, there's really been a lot of work done in the last 20 years with fake lightning. It's
But
one
again,
of the things that doesn't
the
look good.
Wachowskis are like, this is what we're gonna try, and
Right.
hopefully it all works out.
Right. Well, so obviously one of the great examples in the history of sci-fi and special effects is uh, Ridley Scott and Blade Runner, right? He did it in like the early 70s, and he's just like, oh, we're just gonna do neon and darkness, and like that's just always gonna look fine because it's neon. We still use neon in culture today, and if it's dark and rainy, then you can't really. I don't have to spend a lot of money on special effects. It's just gonna look good. And like I recently rewatched the original Blade Runner, and it's like, yeah, it's a movie they can make today.
Yeah, I mean, some of those, like, again, some directors have to have the balls to like try something that isn't quite
Right.
where technology is, and have others pick up the baton and run with it.
The song choice here at the end is might be embarrassing to admit on a podcast, but it's my first ever like just ever first time ever hearing Rage Against the Machine. Like that wasn't really a band that I was
too,
like,
being honest with, or at least
and I
like,
was like, what is this about? What is this sound? And so then I of course like dove into their and of course the name of the song is Wake Up, which, you know, very on the nose considering the speech you just gave. And again, this shouldn't work. Like this should be cheesy. Like he's putting on his shades, looks right at you. But you know, it's,
I mean, this says like, well, let's just butt fuck the year 2000 and just dive right into it.
right? There we go.
Yeah, because then the flying is
A big plot point in the second
in
one,
the
right?
second one. Yeah, damn.
Does it quite a bit. He almost does it a little bit too much, you know. By
But
the
I
way,
do like the way he like takes off in the second one. He like puts his hand
kind of
towards the
gets
ground,
down and then goes up. Yeah.
which
By
Man
the
of
way,
Steel definitely stole.
this font, I remember in 1999, I was like, whoa. And now if I see it on anything, I'm like, this is the worst. This is like Papyrus or Comic Sans. Like, what are we doing?
So that is
go.
The Matrix from 1999. Alex, closing thoughts on the franchise, thoughts on the new movie, anything you want to impart on the people before we let them go.
It's been an honor rewatching this with you.
Same.
Looking forward to I'm going to spend some time revisiting the second and the third before the fourth one comes out. But yeah, it's a franchise and a series that is very close to my heart. I really enjoyed it as a kid growing up. It was probably some of the most violent stuff I ever watched up to that point in my life, if I think about it, you know. But it does it in a way where it looks so cool that my parents probably just didn't care. They're like, oh yeah, he just jumped inside of his mouth and exploded him from the inside. But it's fine.
It's like violence without context, so it's fine.
Yeah, it's a computer world. Yeah, I mean, really, probably the most realistic violent thing is just the guy, you know, the what's his name's guts kind of hanging out. But
yeah,
it's very good. It still holds up. The music's great. Stylistically, I think it's inspired. It's one of those like points in movie history where there's a before Matrix and an after Matrix, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think its influence continues to this day in action movies and sci-fi movies. It's an awesome movie.
Yeah, it definitely, whether you like the story or not, there's no denying that visually it really raised the bar and changed the game for like what action movies could and would attempt. And
Yep.
sci-fi movies as well. Again, the
Oh, by
dodging
the
bullets
way,
and the slow motion
stunt
is
doubles.
like
He had two of them. I just happened to notice that in the. So he did have stunt doubles, but clearly he did not
Hey,
use
look
them
at the
for the fight.
stunt. There's 3 rows of names. That's how
Pretty
you,
good.
yeah.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Fuck.
Good
Well,
stuff.
after we see the new one, we'll have to maybe come back and do a commentary on that. Or even, dude, I'm always down to
Yeah.
do a commentary on Matrix Reloaded. That movie I fucking love.
Yeah, and I think the new one is gonna. I believe it's the last of the HBO Max simultaneous release.
Wow.
So it's gonna be on HBO Max the day it's in theaters. So
Mm.
yeah, I mean, I'm down. I'm down to
I'm
watch. I'm
gonna,
probably gonna be watching that one right when it comes out, and I'm happy to discuss it on the pod in the
yeah.
future.
Okay, good. I'm definitely gonna miss the HBO Max release day and date, although I definitely get why they're not gonna continue to do it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, I've been enjoying that. I've watched pretty much every single thing they've put out, and can't beat your couch. AMC really wants their chairs to be more comfortable than your couch, but they're just not. They're just not. You know?
Well, when AMC lets me pause the whole screen to go take a piss and maybe get some snacks, then
Yeah.
then we might be on par. Until then,
Until then.
I don't see that coming down the pike. All right, for Alex English, I'm the mayor, Jeff Hornacek. We are the Bro 4 Squad podcast. Thank you guys for checking us out. Follow us on Twitter at Bro 4 Squad. Type in Bro Force Squad as 3 separate words on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, anywhere you get your podcasts. Check out everything on our website, bro4squad.com. Till next time, Alex and I have to go dodge some bullets. Imagine trying that and just being like, oh, I actually don't know how to do this. Now I'm dead.
Try it out.